Hey, welcome back to Hanging Out in My Garage here. And I'm Wayne King with 717 Throttle Therapy. But let's go over a couple of things here. One of the things I want to discuss is the dreaded, deadly grass clippings. Holy cow. Some of you get all worked up about this one. I'm not going to make excuses for people that don't know how to mow their yard. I mean, for crying out loud, take the outside 2 rows, blow it back in away from the street, and voila, no problem. You're good to go. Do the rest of it however you want. However, some people don't do it that way. They don't think about it. Maybe it's because they're not riders. I don't know. I have no idea. But at any rate, it is our responsibility as motorcyclists to learn how to navigate hazards of any kind. Not just grass clippings. There's stones, leaves in the fall time. There's, we were a couple of years ago on a ride, and there's someone that wiped out on corn husks. Well, the farmer had been harvesting the corn. It was late fall, and he wasn't even out there at the time, but the wind, it was a pretty breezy day. The wind blew some of the corn husks out onto the street. Well, it wasn't the farmer's fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was the wind. Blame the wind, And yeah, there's a rider. There were over 100 of them on that ride, 100 motorcycles, and one of them wiped out because of it. So, we have a responsibility as motorcyclists to learn how to ride and to learn how to navigate hazards of any kind. I'm in Southeast Pennsylvania, so one of the hazards that we have in addition to this, there's a lot of Amish around here, and their horses leave what we call roadside apples, and bottom line, it's horse crap, and that can get slippery. I don't complain about it. I just know it's something I need to pay attention to, and I watch for it. When I see it, I navigate around it. I'll give you a couple of examples, and I ride through grass clippings numerous times a year. I've already ridden through probably 3 or 4 times this year so far. One of my neighbors here, great guy, and he loves the motorcycles. But when he mows, he alternates. Sometimes he's mowing right with the street. Other times he likes to go at an angle. Whenever he does that, he comes out into the street to turn, and every time he does that, it lets some grass clippings on the street. Now, one thing I know when I go past here, because I've seen him doing it, after he's finished mowing, he gets a blower and he goes all the way around and blows those grass clippings off the street. I respect him for doing that. And the bottom line, I have a responsibility to be an adult about it. If I go past and I see him mowing the yard, I'll just cross over to the other side of the street because I know, depending on how he's mowing, there's going to be some grass clippings there. I also know that after he's finished mowing it, he's going to go back and blow it up, blow the clippings off the street. So, no problem. Give people some time. I don't get angry with him when I go by and, I see him on the yard, give him the finger or yell at him. No, who cares? I know he's going to go out and clean up after he's finished. So, that's one of the things. Another example is there's a horse farm not too far from my house, and they have a weed eater, or they use a weed eater around the fence. And there's a guardrail and stuff there, and there's a traffic light right there at the intersection. I was coming down to that traffic light one time, and I was on the motorcycles on the 05 Road King, and I noticed they were weed eating. Well, when you're weed eating, man, the grass is just going everywhere. Grass and the weeds are going everywhere. So, of course, there was some on the street. I had a red light, so I knew I was going to have to stop. I was proactive, slowed down early on, gave myself extra time, and as a result, I had no problem. Got stopped at the traffic light, nodded my head to the guy. He's cleaning up the property. You know what? It looked great. That's what we do this for, We mow our yards so the properties look good. Keep them looking decent. So, I didn't complain to the guy. I made adjustments because of what was in the road, because of the hazard in the road. Had a 90-degree turn a couple of weeks ago, was on a ride and came up on a 90-degree turn. And we'd had quite a bit of rain the week before, so I knew, to watch it for stone washouts and stuff on some of the curves and stuff. And sure enough, I couldn't see all the way through the curve, but from what I could see, I saw some stones. So I assumed as I get into this curve, it's going to get worse. Now, it might get better, I don't know, but I don't know that. I can't see. What I do see is some stones throughout the road. The rain had washed them down across the road the week before. I adjusted my speed prior to making the turn. As I got into the turn, sure enough, it got worse. Guess what? I didn't worry about it. I didn't panic. I was able to navigate it with no issues because I adjusted my speed prior to the curve. When you're coming up on a blind curve, you don't know what's on the other side there. You need to back off a little bit and adjust your speed before you get into that curve. So that's stuff that we as riders need to do and be proactive instead of complaining about it. I see so many people complaining about it, and I see all this stuff on Facebook, about the dreaded grass clippings and how they're so dangerous. To be honest with you, I don't know that there's any data out there that separates it from other hazards. That's put in with any other hazard. It's a road hazard that we need to be aware of. So the whole point here, the main thing, learn to ride, learn how to navigate hazards, pay attention. If you're coming up on a blind curve, you don't know what's on the other side there. If you're on little hills, Pennsylvania has a lot of them. It is so much fun riding in a lot of areas in Pennsylvania because of the rolling hills and the curves. We've got all over. Southern York County is beautiful. Lancaster County is beautiful. We get up into northern Pennsylvania where Potter County, Tioga County, man, there's some excellent riding. But there's a lot of rolling hills and a lot of curves. You don't know what's around the curve. You don't know what's up over that next little knob. Learn to ride. That's the point. Instead of complaining about all of this stuff, learn to navigate the hazards. Another one that we have here in Pennsylvania, and I get it, it is kind of a pain, but the tar and chip. They use tar and chip on some of our on our roads as a kind of a temporary, cheaper way to fix it. Excuse me. Well, there's a street not far from our house that I'm on a couple times a week. And they did the tar and chip a couple of years ago. Over that time, I tried to avoid it. The first year they first put it down, I tried to avoid it with my motorcycle because it can be a mess. However, now, and for the past couple of years, that road's great. It did fix the road. And that's why they do it. Now, some people think it should be outlawed, because it's so dangerous. No. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it should. But I think it's more important that we as motorcyclists learn how to navigate stuff like that. When you come up on something like that, if you can find a route around it, go around it. If you can't, take it easy. Slow down. Back off a little bit. Learn to navigate the hazards. Learn to ride. In Pennsylvania, you can take courses for free, no additional cost. Now, I know some states charge. I get that. You might not have the, $200, $250, $150. But in Pennsylvania, you can go to learntoRidePA.com and sign up for courses, or I'm sure there's other websites or other ways you can do it. MSF has courses. You can get private lessons. You can get private courses. Now, those will cost you. Or find a buddy that, I do this for some of my friends. We'll get together sometimes and just do some practicing in parking lots. A church parking lot or a school parking lot. And we'll just practice some maneuvers. Slow speed maneuvers, swerving, maximum braking, that type of stuff. So get out, enjoy the ride, and listen, learn to ride so that you can navigate hazards. Over and out. Let's get out there and ride.